I think I smell something, and I know what it is. Horikoshi is absolutely cooking up. I briefly read some things from this chapter so far, and I'm beyond excited to talk about it with y'all. It's My Hero Academia Thursday, and if y'all aren't already subscribed, what the heck are y'all doing? Subscribe, join the family, and let's hop right into this chapter. So the chapter starts with All For One in the cave saying that lies don't work against him. It's because of a quirk he stole from a man years ago, and that ironically enough, one of his descendants operates side by side with All Might, probably referring to Tsukuyuchi since his sister Makoto has a similar quirk to the one described. That's really interesting. I have heard speculation that All For One is related to Tsukuyuchi, and damn, I guess everybody with these theories, man, they are much smarter than me because they always have this spot on. Next, we see All For One enter into a phone call with Ayoma's mother, which passes off a message disguised as a conversation about wine. He says he is in the mood for a Macallan, and she says her son can deliver it to him the next day. In this context, he is referred to as uncle, and after the conversation is over, he confirms to himself that no lies have been told. So lies don't work against All For One. That's absolutely kind of a busted quirk. Unfortunately for Rowdy, as we know in the My Hero Academia movie, he simply can't tell a lie, but everybody can lie to him. All For One's kind of the opposite. We then see Deku going to meet Ayoma with a cell phone in his hand, and Yuga thanks him for coming. But Deku was confused because he thought he was still in prison. After answering that his parents' lawyers have arranged for his acquittal, Midoriya turns to run and tells the other students, but Ayoma stops him and asks if he would like to know the real plan of All For One. The destruction of Japan will be followed by a devaluation of the yen and the bankruptcy of many Japanese companies. The social instability will lead to an increase in the number of villains and widespread chaos, being similar to the Great Depression or the period of the rise of quirk. Other countries will prioritize their own and deny any aid to Japan, but in the long run this will lead to an international conflict where each seeks only to maintain internal security. In this devastated scenario, who will be the one to provide water for the nations in need? Gas, electricity, all the resources can be generated with the quirks that All For One possesses. So All For One seeks the economic destruction of Japan, and this just leads to a domino effect in that it creates all of this artificial demand for what All For One can provide. Because he's taking away these resources, he's the only one in charge of them. Essentially, All For One will have a monopoly over resources, and I really never thought that Horikoshi would kind of have All For One having his plan be in the fact of upsetting the entire economic structure and the financial system of the country, which then in turn leads to him having more and more power. Midoriya then says it's still too early to predict this apocalyptic scenario since they are all still there to stop All For One. Ayoma apologizes and says that in the end, he still wants to protect the safety of his mother and father. As he cries, we see All For One floating behind him. Deku is shocked and All For One praises Ayoma's actions, asking if it was his parents who told him about his final plan. He confirms and says that they promise that they would be happy in the world that All For One will create. Deku shouts that he trusted him, and Ayoma bows, crying and shaking. What he does next is, he turns around quickly and shoots a laser in All For One's direction. Holy hell, man, you can't see I have chills on my arms. I didn't read this far when I was preparing for today's video because I wanted an authentic reaction because I heard it was an absolute banger, and I did not expect this at all. Is Ayoma really double-cross it again once more? Holy hell. I really didn't think that all of this action was about to transpire now. I knew it was coming in the upcoming chapters, but here it is, literally in chapter 343. All For One then uses an airwave to quickly mobilize and dodge the shot, calling Ayoma a fool, and Deku starts saying that Ayoma's performance was very realistic, and Ayoma replies that it was the only way to fool an opponent of that level, and adds that Deku himself was also able to lie very well. Ayoma is still shaking but shouts that he will face All For One to protect his parents. All For One is very confused, remembering this conversation he had with Ayoma's mother and confirming once again that there was no trace of falsehood in her speech. He then decides to stop looking for an explanation and focus on the fact that One For All is right in front of him. While taking off his jacket, he says that Tomura has observed many heroes using Search during the war. Their chance of winning is nil. At this time, many villains begin to appear through the goo quirk used for teleportation, including Toga, Dabi, and Shigaraki. When all seem lost, a small portal begins to form behind Ayoma, and out of it comes Monoma. Why is he the first one mentioned? And soon after, a legion of heroes. Ayoma says that his parents said that the one thing All For One hates the most is the fact that the rest of the world knows that Japan is not yet doomed to failure. A light of hope still shines, and if Japan holds on to it, the whole world will come together. That is why they will defeat him here and now. The amount of emotions I felt throughout this chapter was absolutely insane. At first I was thinking Ayoma is possibly double-crossing Deku, but thank God at the end of the day that wasn't the case. We have both the villains and the heroes both coming through portals to absolutely scrap it out and literally begin the war here. I thought the war's location wouldn't be right where they are now. As All Might initially said, they need to fight all the villains one-on-one and separate them from each other, but I guess someone decided against this. And instead they were saying, okay, yeah, let's bring the fight to them and fight all out. And coming through this portal, Monoma, as we know, Monoma from Class 1B, he has the Phantom Thief ability. And perhaps he's going to steal the quirk from one of the villains and use that against them. It could be Dabi's, it could be Toga's. I don't think it would work on Shigaraki or All For One, given that their quirk, you know, it has too much manifestation and things involved regarding that. And imagine if he takes Dabi's quirk and all the amount of chaos that can ensue. We are really right here with the war beginning. Deku and Ayoma with the MVP Oscar performance. Now we finally face off with the heroes versus the villains in this war, and they said they're going to end this here and now. What All For One seeks is control over all of Japan, and he wants the chaos to ensue, but we know that our heroes will not allow this. Damn, this chapter was absolutely phenomenal, and I guess from here on out, we are about to have some amazing, some fantastic chapters from Horikoshi, and I knew whenever we started this video, I could smell something cooking, and Horikoshi is cooking up in this chapter. This by far, I think, is the best My Hero Academia chapter of this year that I've read by far, and I'm so excited for the upcoming chapters that will as well be amazing. If you guys are excited about this chapter, let me know in the comment section below, and if you enjoy My Hero Academia Thursday where we discuss these leaks, please join the family, subscribe. There's going to be a lot of bangers coming this year, and I would love to have you part of the journey. I hope y'all's day is going great, and as always, be greedier.